Good afternoon for all those who will be joining us. We decided to click on that magical thing, so we're reviewing Casablanca, the 1942 movie. I am here with Omanal, Shadow, and Jack, and Mark. We will be talking about the movie Casablanca. Now, I want to start off with saying I remember seeing this movie years ago when I was a teenager and thinking, ugh. I have something better to do, anything better than do. But I'm so glad that Omanal has picked this one out because it was definitely worth watching again. And I have to say, I hate the main character for reasons.
Wow. Wow.
That is genuinely
Wow.
surprising.
For
It seems
Wow,
we can
dude.
agree on this.
Wow.
It's too much
That
of a
is the most-
mirror. That's the problem.
Oh, shot fired. We can't get 5 minutes into a show without shot being fired.
No, the problem is he's right. Oh my god, it's like I saw myself in that character. I'm like, fuck, I hate him too. Anyways,
Okay, now you went and ruined it, man.
so with that
That's
being
my
said,
file.
let's get into this. All right, Omanal, since you're the one who picked this movie, why did you pick this movie?
Because I think it's one of the great classics, and while we all try to sometimes pick fun movies, I'm trying to pick movies that Jack has probably never seen that I think he should get exposed to. I mean, get exposed. You don't have to like it, but at least to get the familiarity. Because I know when I was his age, all I heard was, Casablanca. Why would I want to watch that? It's some dumb romance. And then I saw it, I guess, when I was 19 or 20. Man, this is a great movie. So, Jack, sorry about that. You're going to be getting all the great classics that I've been throwing in, which I joke about. I'm apparently the black and white guy. So,
I like black and white
I
movies.
honestly don't have a problem with that. I actually appreciate a lot more than I've seen both Citizen Kane and Casablanca, and again, I was younger than Jack when I saw them, and I remembered it completely differently than the reality, and my opinion of the movie is definitely changed. And now I just want to go and watch Maltese Falcon so I can see Bogey actually as a decent human being. But we'll get into that later.
Would you not say he wasn't a decent person in this movie?
Oh God, he was a miserable sack of crap who just happened to have made some decent decisions so he could have some money, quite a bit of it, but he was a miserable bastard.
All right,
Oh my
let's
God.
get into the questions now.
All right, Jack. Since you're being the most vocal, who was your favorite character in this movie?
Louis.
No hesitation.
Louis, the
The
police
Frenchman,
officer,
yeah.
the Frenchman that was
The fishy
incredibly.
operative.
Oh my god! Actually, I did like his character a lot, to be honest.
I liked him from the very beginning. I mean, maybe it has something to do with my, let's just put it, sympathies for the Vichy regime, but I always liked him.
I know, right? Owen, what the?
well, you know what? I have to laugh because I will say this much: he did redeem himself in the end. And you have to admit, he was an honest, corrupt official.
Oh, he was. That was.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was completely honest about his shortcomings, and he just ran with it. Him and Bogart's character played off of each other quite well.
Mhm.
Well,
right.
famous last words, right?
Yeah. All right, Mark. Who did you like?
I like the police chief as well. He's my favorite.
All right. Same reasons that have already been said, or do you got something different?
Just well acted. He was what he was, and I don't know. He didn't play. He just admitted his corruption openly, pretty much, and just did the things, and he kind of came through at the end in the pinch. So yeah, he was my favorite, and I didn't didn't realize at first, like, man, he looks familiar. I didn't put two and two together. That was Claude Rains at first, and I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure when I saw the credits. I was like,
The Invisible
oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, he's great. He was great in everything he did. He was a great actor.
Gotcha. All right, Shadow. Who did you like?
The hero, Victor Laszlo.
Laszlo.
Ah, yes,
Yes.
the hero.
Laszlo.
Yep.
All right. I just want to make sure we're talking about the right hero in all of this.
Yes, the actual hero that everybody admitted to was the freaking hero.
I don't know. I feel like there was another character that was a bit more heroic.
I think you're wrong, young sir.
Yeah,
Please stay out of my business. Now,
he was the most heroic out of everybody. Everybody else had a whole lot of flaws, but that
And
guy,
he said some interesting things. I'll put it that way. But we'll get to that later.
I think he was the one that stayed true to the course and his beliefs and everything throughout the whole thing. Everybody else was really had a lot of moral ambiguity, in my opinion.
Yep.
Not just a little. All right, Mark. Who did you like?
Wait a minute. You mean what? You mean
Mike.
Omanel?
Omanel. Who did you like?
Okay, come on. We all know each other's names here. Come on, get with it.
I know, but you know what?
But not like I haven't done that, right, Mark?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Rick, to be fair, because I love it when he comes over and he has the Russians right there. I'm sorry, the Germans, and he pulls the book and says, "Are my eyes really brown?" I mean, that just takes some balls right there. Well, I mean, and as much as we talk about the great one-liners, I love the other one-liner which he has is, and they have the Peter Lorre character, the one with the bug eyes, and he goes, "Rick, I know that you despise me." And he says,
Well, if I gave you any thought, then I guess I would.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love those one-liners they had from the 1930s and 40s, but just the whole thing says, and see, that's why I trust you, Rick, and the, I like the morally, I don't want to say morally ambiguous. You can tell he had a good heart, but he got burned so much. I mean, everyone
he got burned once. He got burned once, as far as I could tell.
No, I mean, even in the Spaniard, when they said, "Oh, you ain't guns for the Spanish," he was
I suppose. But I mean,
Yeah, well, anyone who fights for the Republicans in Spain is a disgusting communist, as far as I'm concerned.
But the whole thing that I just found it very, very interesting on the well, you picked the wrong side. He says, well, maybe I'm just bad luck. It's the kind of thing that you can tell that there was someone that was a very, I won't say idealistic, and he just realizes just how bad the world is, and he's he spiraled down. It was the
maybe.
That's someone that's really disillusioned, is what I mean. He became so thoroughly disillusioned from someone that was a real idealist, and I did love at the beginning. It's like when it was supposed to, what was it about the money? You just think that you just toss it away. He says, what makes you think I haven't done that before? Ripping up the checks from the German banker. I love that whole aspect to him. So anyway,
I think my favorite character was Sam.
I had a feeling.
I liked him.
I like.
There's nothing. I mean, you'd have to be a rat bastard, to not have liked Sam. Sam was just.
There's
kind of like the one note of shining cheerfulness in the whole dismal.
Yeah.
Can I mention I like the small character of Carl as well?
Was that the waiter?
Yeah, he was the German waiter that was sitting down.
Oh yeah.
I liked him because it showed that not every German was for the Reich. I don't know. I don't want to know where you're going. He knew where everyone was. He's just like, I don't know where you're going. I thought he was. Yeah. I thought he was a good, decent character. To be fair, when you look at all of them, the people that Rick surrounded himself with the bar, he took care of them, and they were good, decent people.
No, I agree with that. I mean, honestly, the guy who had the person who stole his papers, I don't know about that guy. It's just there's something about that guy I enjoyed. Although I think it's because I think he did voice work for a bunch of the old Looney Tune commercials. He sounds like the guy who played Marvin the Martian. Don't make me do it. You know, that his tone is like, I know that voice.
Oh, Peter Lorre was huge. I mean, he was a character actor for everything. He was in Maltese Falcon. He was in didn't he play like Renfield at one time?
He did. He also, if anyone wants to watch the movie M in Germany, which they all have these different things, but that's one I recommend. But that's real dark, even for its, especially for its time, which was banned, I believe, in Germany. But that's where he got his fame, was for the letter M.
Like, there's a movie in Germany got banned? Never.
It was very, very interesting for it, but he played a psychopathic, like, child killer anyway, and then it was, but it's a good movie, but yeah, I did. The other one I liked was Sidney Greenstreet, which was the owner of the Blue Parrot.
Yeah, I've seen him in the movie.
Wasn't he also in the Maltese Falcon?
He was.
Yeah.
Well, back when this movie was made, the studios basically bought actors. I don't want to say bought actors, but they made actors and actresses sign a contract that you can only do our studio movies. Whereas today, you see a guy do a Disney movie, a Fox. Well, Fox is now owned by Disney, but you get where I'm going. They could bounce from studio to studio. Back in the day, when the studio locked you down, you did 15. You might make 15 to 20 movies, but it was only going to be with one studio.
Yep.
So it's not surprising that a lot of these actors that we're talking about were together in other movies playing different roles. It's just how the business worked back then. Second question. There wasn't a dog in this movie. I started thinking about that. I'm like, Jack's going to pick dog. He always picks the damn dog. But I don't remember there being a dog in this one.
No, there wasn't. And I honestly would not have picked the dog anyways. Louis was amazing.
Yeah, he really was. All right, second question. Was there any part of this movie to you that sticks out more than anything else? It's the part of the movie that you're going to think about this movie a little bit later on. It's like, I really enjoyed that scene. I'll start with you, Jack.
The part where they show when they're they're going through the desert and there's a mural to Marshall Pétain. I like that part.
Of course. What about you, Mark?
The part was when everything all came to a head in the climax at the end of the race, and they're racing through the frog, they're racing against time to get the two of them on the plane and out of Casablanca, and everything's all coming to a head, and it's kind of all frenzied at the very end. You don't know for sure if they are going to make it or not, and if everybody's going to keep their word and do the things that they need to get them on that plane and out of there into safety.
All right. Shadow?
You guys are probably going to laugh, but my favorite part of the movie was the song "Who's Got Trouble."
The which part?
The song where Sam's playing and the entire ballroom, whatever, they're all singing along with it, perfectly, like that ever happens.
Oh yeah! I know what part.
That was
wood. We can knock on wood.
Yeah. That I just loved it. Today, if something like that happened, there would be incredible vulgarities going on, and F bombs, etc. You just couldn't get that sort of a spontaneous thing going on like that today. And back then, in the middle of freaking where they were at, they could all participate. That was it was just fun. I just really loved it.
Actually, I have seen that happen at karaoke bars.
Well, and to be fair, you didn't just get in there. So if you were the kind of yell vulgarities, you just get kicked out and not be allowed back in the bar. So,
Right, at that time period,
Yeah.
yeah.
But even
No,
nowadays,
they-
if you go to a piano bar or something, I mean, if you go to a
Yeah.
piano bar or something like that, people get into it. I mean, that's why you go.
Right. And I don't do that sort of thing anymore. But even back then, during the 80s and 90s, I could picture that sort of thing happening and being classy and uplifting for everybody. They're all there, kind of, in a bad place, financially, physically, sociologically, they're all, kind of, in a horrible period of history, and they could all get together, over this silly little song that everybody happened to know, and it just,
Well, it kind of did happen though in that movie in a different sense, where there's a part where in the very beginning everybody is singing the same song happily and going along. Then later off in the movie where
then you got to bring the Nazis in, and then it becomes political, and sure.
then
Oh yeah, the
French
part
was
with
like,
the
that
started
was a-
singing?
that was still a well done. I like that, because stick it to the Nazis any way you can. I'm cool with that. But
I
love
would have picked the scene. I would have picked the scene where the Germans were singing as my favorite, but then the Frenchies had to come in and ruin it.
You know what I found interesting is, despite what Jack says, that was one of my favorite scenes. But because I think that they had all of the actors in that, for the most part, were actual from France. They were part of the Free French, and they. So when you see like some of the tears coming out of their eyes, they were, that they were French. Oh, what is it?
yeah, because it wasn't that long ago when that movie was filmed. It wasn't like ancient history.
Well, here's
No.
I mean, look at the year that this came out. This came out a year after the bombing in Pearl Harbor, the attack on Pearl Harbor. It was 1942 when they released it in the one theater before mass release, and just realize they're talking about concentration camps and stuff. Which, I mean, they're bringing up stuff that.
That surprised me. That really did surprise me. They brought up, as Laszlo escaped to those concentration camps. I'm like, wait, when the fuck was this movie made?
I mean, it was, and look at how fast they made it. It was 6 months from the time that they made it till the time it was, released.
Right.
And and the other part was, and you got to give credit to the screenwriters back then. Look at the one-liners they had. They had them coming out, and it made it funny and enjoyable.
That was kind of a big thing back then. That's how well the writing was back then. If you go back to, and so much to the point that Arnold was doing the same shtick, 50 years later in every one of his movies. They weren't as well written, but there was still a thing.
Well, but that's what I mean. Okay, so I think part of mine was when the girl comes in and she's like, "Well, is Renault a honorable man?" And she's talking to him. And Rick's like, "All right." And he goes over. He says, "Put on 22." Put it again on 22. I never want to see you again. And,
actually, when it got to me, that was going to be my favorite. That was my favorite scene. The woman goes up, talks to him, and he does. It might not have been the right thing for the business, but this is a guy who started off saying, "I don't put my neck out for anybody. I don't drink with the customers. Let me just do my thing. You all have fun, and just let me be." And I get that. I really, really do. Then when
We all know.
What?
No, really?
Both of you guys can go to timeout as far as I'm concerned. Anyways.
Well, and then of course, what was it? Right? Wasn't it right after that when they do the Nazi Germans start singing, and then how it just led right into there when the French start singing, and he allows them to, he allows the band to play. I like them have the band first fix it Rick before they do anything. He nods his head. So they did that, and then they're like, "We're going to shut this place down." He says, "My God, I can't believe that there's illegal gambling going on. We have to shut this down."
And he stuffs the money in his pocket.
Yeah, here's your cut. Oh, well, thank you. And yeah, I mean, that it was real tight. By my understanding, this was interesting. Is that modern movies scripts tend to be about 100 pages, and at the time that they were making these movies, it was 120 because they spoke faster. So they would get through more material in a script than they did in more modern movies. I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Did you say your? I'm sorry for jumping in. Did you say your favorite part, Omino?
It was the same one that we were talking about with the whole thing, because you get to see Rick's character where he actually still has that romantic streak in him, doing the right thing, after the entire laying it down, so you can how things go. Well, once you can see, we talk about the movie, how he became embittered, but that one part where he's like, all right, I'll let this girl, and her husband get out of there, and so it's like, all right, and no one really expected him to do it anyway. So you're like, all right, he does have a heart in there somewhere.
Shh.
Against his better judgment.
Don't tell people that. Oh yeah. No, there's actually really several good scenes in this movie, and the twist. That was the other thing that threw me off, because you didn't know which direction he was going to go on a lot of this. He could have been the greedy bastard and kept the girl from himself. He could have turned in Laszlo. He could have done all the easy things.
No, I think that was the obviously it's hard to except having seen the movie, and at my age everybody kind of knows, but I really couldn't see him picking her over what in today's market would be millions of dollars. You know what I mean?
Well,
I just couldn't see him just dumping everything, grabbing a suitcase full of money, and hitting the road. I couldn't see that in him, and knowing that here's a woman who's about to literally shoot him for the tickets. It was like it was over between them. So quick.
I'll tell you what surprised me was Renault. Oh my God, the German's been shot. Round up twice the usual suspects.
Yeah.
I did like that. That made me giggle.
That was the real surprising part. And when he goes over and says, "Well, you lost," he said, "I lost 10,000 pounds." And he goes, "Well, Rick, we'll need that because we can go to free France, in Morocco." It's the kind of thing where you realize Renault is a poor corrupt official. that whole
But a
thing.
natural born survivor.
Yeah, well, he is, but he does do some of the right things. He didn't have to do that. He could have turned in Rick and not stuck out his neck and said, "Okay," it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of easy solutions that could have been taken in this movie, and for the most part, everybody did what was hard, the hard decision, and I enjoyed that about this movie. All right, next question. Was there any scene that you think this movie could have done without? And I expect fairly quick answers on this one. If you have a long answer, that's fine, but I'm pretty sure we're all going to say the same thing. I'll start with you, Jack.
Huh. I have a lot of options. Half of them joke options, half of them legitimate options. I'm gonna need a bit to think of which one I want to do.
It doesn't matter. Just throw it out there. Have some fun with it.
No,
Yeah.
go to marker, shadow or something.
All right, Mark.
I can't think of anything that I would have cut out. I mean, the movie was just about, I don't know, probably about spot on perfect the way it was shot and everything that was in it. Yeah, I don't know. No, I can't really think of anything that should be cut out of it. No.
All right, Shadow.
I might have edited the scene between Rick and what's her name, the flashback scenes, that was a little long in my opinion, but I get it. I'm pretty much in agreement with Mark. You know, if I'd been handed the script, I don't know that I would have changed much of anything, if anything. It's a classic for a reason, and
We're just
yeah, I really can't see how it would have been made better, only shorter.
Gotcha.
Right.
And I feel it's very tightly edited. If I was going to remove a scene, looking at it, I'm like, but it all sort of lays out the framework. What is it with even the stuff that I go may not be as much in there. Maybe the scene with Carl where he's sitting down with the two immigrants from Germany that got their visas over to the Americas. But you know what? It adds a little bit of character flavor. It doesn't take away from the movie. Hey, Hungar, glad to your home.
Hey, what's happening, buddy?
He told me late last night that he loved this movie and he was going to cry if he wasn't able to talk about it.
I did not say anything about crying, you fibber.
Oh, come on, we can see the
No, I
tears
love
welling up in your
like
eyes
that.
as you speak.
I'm a Capricorn. Humphrey Bogart's a Capricorn. That's good enough for me.
What?
Didn't he marry Lauren Bacall? That's good enough for me.
All right. So
Casablanca has everything you need. It has action, it has comedy, it has romance, it has drama. Some of the first sci-fi action was on, or not sci-fi, special effects was on Casablanca. Remember at the end where it shows the two people working on the airplane and they're far away, but the movie was filmed in a studio, so they actually made a smaller airplane and had two midgets as the people working on the plane, so it gave the illusion of being far away. I mean, it was freaking clever. Nobody had ever thought of anything like that at that time.
I did not know that, Hungar.
That's genuinely really smart. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was. I mean, yeah. Well, Hungar, we're glad. Why don't you throw in your favorite character and scene since you missed that very beginning part.
The little Weasley guy.
Oh, Peter Lorre? Yeah.
Yes, Rick, can you help me?
Rick.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't do anything for him. Yeah, that was great. He's
And of
testing
course,
it.
Humphrey Bogart's character Rick does not care.
No, he did
He's
not.
there to make money.
all
That's
right.
what he wanted. And then that woman comes into his life and messes everything up.
What? Wait. Don't all women do that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes, that was the point.
I'm surprised you didn't get to it first.
I'm leaving it alone. I have a daughter.
She's not a woman yet. You're okay.
And that little lovely daughter of mine is going to ruin somebody else's life, and I'm oddly okay with it.
I have two daughters.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So Hungar, what was your favorite scene? Oh no, you said that was with Peter Lorre, right?
Yeah. My favorite scene was the ending. I see a beautiful friendship, where it has the
Yep.
special effects and stuff.
All right.
Of course, of all the gendrons and all the cities in all the world, you had to walk into mine. That's a good scene. I mean, there's so many good scenes in the movie.
Here's what's funny is there's so many things that I want to say, man, this just feels so cringe, and you realize it's only cringe because you've heard it for 50 plus years because they quote everything from the movie, and you're like, but it's the same thing with Shakespeare. It's like, okay, you've heard it so often, you have to forget this is where it started.
Yeah, you gotta think about it. Yes, you've heard a lot of quotes from this movie. It's been out for ever, and it's that good that everybody's going to quote it.
Yeah.
If it was a crappy movie, nobody would quote it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I don't know. There's some really crappy movies that are quoted. The Super Mario Brothers, for example, from the '90s. I hear that being quoted from time to time.
Yeah, but those are quoted in jest. This one is quoted because it's that good.
Right. I don't disagree with you on that one.
It's like you watch. How many quotes you get from the movie Red Dawn? Great movie. That heat's gonna burn you up, kid. It keeps me warm at night. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna.
Great movies have great quotes.
I'm gonna say this much. This is one of those movies that I think has a broad range of appeal both to men and women. Since it, yeah, I mean that's the. If you're gonna take a date, that's if you're gonna sit down with your date or whatever to watch a movie, this is one to watch.
Yes, and the original black and white, not color.
Oh, I can't imagine doing this in color. Oh.
It seems so weird in color.
But you know what? Sometimes I like to see what the color is, just see how vibrant the images would be back then. Because we say this, but a lot of this stuff. I'm not saying that you want to do it, but just you realize how much color went into a lot of the backgrounds. I'll say this much. For Morocco, when they were doing this, anyone get the Indiana Jones vibe when he's in the marketplace?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I did notice something. I'm pretty sure Jackie and I noticed that the uniforms were actually not the right color because they changed the color because in fact it was a black and white movie.
Yeah, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
You don't need to get everything accurate if you're not going to see it. As long as it looks the same on camera, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
All right, to continue that one question we were going on before we are rated by the company of hunger, was there any scenes in this movie that you think that they could have done without Omenau?
Wait a minute, I just said my little piece, which was the part where Carl was drinking.
Right.
So that was about it, but I wouldn't have taken that out anyway because it does. The movie is so tight, it's so well edited that I that's one of those I'm just kind of neutral if they had it in or had it out. I kind of liked it because it did flesh out Carl a little bit more as a jovial, good man. But Carl wasn't a main character. You could have kind of just left him off to the side and go, okay. Hungar, we didn't ask Hungar that.
I was going to get to him.
Okay.
Roman.
Yeah.
We also forgot Mark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Mark said nothing to get removed.
Yeah, I said I'd leave it. As
Is that what you said?
Yeah. He asked me to come back to him. And I got everybody else. Omen.
So we got to stick with a circular pattern here.
Well, let's get Hungar, then we'll go back to Connell, and then we'll go back into our circular pattern again, I guess. Because Hungar missed all the questions.
Yeah.
I feel positive to leave Hungar out.
Hungar, if there's anything he wanted to cut out, and I think we had everybody.
Actually, I'm gonna give my answer real quick because I'm gonna flesh it out later with a question that I presume you're going to ask. Every single mention of the Spanish Civil War. And I'll explain why later.
Okay. All right. Hunger, is there any scenes that you wish they would have cut out?
A lot of the flashbacks. Weren't really needed. But, yeah, they wanted to get the backstory in, but you could have caught the backstory just from the movie itself without, all of that. They really didn't have...
Otherwise, Lauren Bacall would have been, just a bit part in the whole movie. They had to, justify her salary.
Wait a minute, it's Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman.
Why did I think Lauren Bacall?
Because I keep mentioning Lauren Bacall as like my dream woman from that time.
Okay.
How important was the car scene when they're just driving in the car? How important was that?
Oh yeah, that was awful.
So a lot of the flashbacks from Rick and what's her name were just unneeded.
They could have, maybe they could have just they maybe could have revamped it and saved a lot on the budget. Have them maybe talking in the bar about what happened or what went on or something like that. But if they had the money and they didn't have to cut anything, I would have still stuck with leave as is. But yeah, I could see cutting that maybe.
Yeah.
I could have done with myself. I could have done without the car scene. I don't mind the flashbacks because it was just extra seasoning for the character development, and I get that aspect. But the car scenes, I mean, you could, or they could have. I love the bar. Oh my god, the scenery, the bar was absolutely gorgeous. I could have done with spending more time as a viewer in the bar.
Yeah, Rick's place was a really good scene.
Right.
Yeah, the whole place was there. There are only like 3, 4 rooms that they showed. There was Rick's office slash room, and then there was the where they did the gambling, and then of course where they had the main bar.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
My roommate cooked up a big old batch of goulash. I'm eating.
Oh well, that sounds awesome, man.
There's nothing wrong with a good bowl of goulash. All right.
Helps you with your
Except the
COVID.
name. Except the name.
What's
Hey,
wrong with the name
I've been to
goulash?
Hawaii twice in my
Goulash
life.
just sounds like something you step in. Just sounds like something you step in.
Okay.
You know what? I've been trying to learn Russian, and I've been noticing a lot of words that are used in negatively are Russian words. Like brat, which means brother, but the way we use it in English, this is a complete bad connotation.
I thought it was an old English word.
It may be.
All right. Actors. Who? Okay, we said characters. I said characters. Did I ask who was your favorite actor?
No, I don't think so. I think we were all talking
Yeah,
about.
that's the same for me.
I mean, I imagine it would be. I'm expecting a lot of the same answers, but let's do actor. I mean, because sometimes an actor, even if it's a bit role, you enjoy the hell out of it. All right, I'll do actors. Who? Anybody here got a particular actor in this show that they like?
Oh yeah, I'll go with Bogey. It was a Bogart movie. One of the greatest actors of his era. Just absolute iconic. Everything he did, even though he was playing a rat bastard in this movie, that showed, in my opinion, that he could play like the bad guy. He could play the good guy. I didn't like the character, but I've watched enough Bogey movies to know that this was a stretch of his talent. Yeah.
Okay.
Mark, it's Mark's turn. It could happen here with Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Oh, for me, I think everybody does a stellar job acting, even the smaller character actor parts and roles. But for me, it was Claude Rains. He just nailed it. Hit it out of the park, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that. Jack.
Same answer as the who's my favorite character.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot of our answers to be the same. Hunger. Do you have a particular actor you liked in this?
The movie wouldn't have been the movie if it wasn't for Sam.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
He should have got more credit in that movie because, like I just said, it wouldn't have been the movie without him.
I felt like he was kind of Rick's conscience.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That is exactly right. He was the light to Rick's darkness and the Rick's place.
You know what? I'm going to bring this up. Is all of his employees were different facets that were the better versions of himself, for the most part. That's what I find interesting with it. Is that each of the characters reflected a different part of his personality. Even the bartender. Well, that's the lustful side of Rick. This is the and he was a bit corrupt when that the gambling is set. But yeah.
But if you wanted to get into a backstory, you should have got into the backstory of Sam, because he'd been with Rick forever. Been following him around the world.
Yeah.
And that the guy who owned the blue,
Sidney Greenstreet was
yeah,
the.
yeah. He asked how much is Sam for sale for? How much would you sell Sam for? And I'm
He
like,
didn't
wait,
say sale. How much would he work for? You know how much, and he offered him. Sam had the choice whether he want to work for someone or else. And he said, "No, I don't have to. I don't have to. I can spend the money Rick gives me now." I mean, what a loyal worker there. It's not, you know.
No, what a loyal friend.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
But let's see. I mean, there's so many of the great little characters. Peter Lorre for the actor, which was the sleazy. You know, I'm impressed how you got those. You know, even these will impress you. You know, that was one. I love Sidney Greenstreet as the owner of the Blue Parrot. I liked his honesty for things with Victor Laszlo and stuff. I liked I liked Carl for being in there. You know, you want to talk about someone. We talk about Sam being his conscience, but so was Carl. Carl was out there too.
Yeah, I'll give
you know, that's why I said he picked good people around him and he protected them, and they all knew that he was a tortured soul. And then of course Claude Rains just did such a great job. I'm just a poor corrupt official. Round up to twice the usual suspects. We're trying to decide how he died in camp. You know, whether it was an escape or a suicide. You know, I mean, it was like, oh yeah. It not that he liked the Germans. It was just like he realized that there wasn't much he could do, and he was just trying to eke out for himself. So yeah, the actors from that era were so good, just in whatever parts they played in the movies they put them in.
They picked the right actors for that movie. Yeah, the freaking official. He's like, I'm just a normal corrupt.
Well,
you're in a bad time. You're in the start of World War II. You know.
Well,
they ran from Paris. They're at Casablanca, Morocco, the last free place over in that area, and they're just trying to get by without getting involved in the war, because they all had all of that stuff and the other wars that had been fought in the last decade or so. And it's just like, just leave us alone.
Well, and everyone's trying to go through Morocco, you know, to get to Spain. Yeah, that was
trying to nope out of the area. They're like, nope, we're gone.
Right. All right. Did everybody answer that question? It kind of got bounced around there for a second.
I'm going to ask, which characters did you not like? No, not characters. Which actors did you not like that much?
Oh, actually, that's a hard fucking question.
Victor Laszlo.
Yeah, I agree with Hugar there. Victor Laszlo and Ingrid Bergman. I mean, even though they're critical to the story, I really didn't like them too much. They were not that personable.
Yeah, and it's funny. My dad's Facebook name is Victor Laszlo.
My older stepson's name is Laszlo, but he was named after real geniuses, not Casablanca. But when he gets older and gets interested in dating girls, I'm going to tell him that it's from Casablanca. It just sounds better.
Well, Connell.
Nice. I'll be back in a second.
But you have to remember that a lot of people use the same character names over and over as a homage to the ones before.
Yeah.
So don't assume that Laszlo wasn't actually named after that character. So anyway.
Oh no! I know where he got the name Laszlo, and it's like my first question to my ex-wife was like, "Are you or your ex-husband Hungarian?" Because that's a Hungarian. No, we liked it from the Val Kilmer movie, Real Genius. Okay, whatever. I didn't think anything about it, but now it's like, tell them that you're named after Casablanca. It'll work better with the women. Trust me. I think.
I mean, you might have a point, but I wouldn't be trusting you.
Yeah, the movie's so old, you may want to rethink that strategy. Speaking of women, my least favorite actress actor was obviously Ingrid Bergman. She just wasn't really that special, in my opinion. I get it, for the time maybe, but I just didn't wasn't buying it.
I mean, honestly, once again, I bring up the fact that the studio has a set roster of
Yeah.
actors they can use in each movie. I
Just
don't know.
going by pure attractiveness, at least for me, the woman who basically offered herself to get her and her husband out of there, I thought was just stunning in
Oh
comparison.
yeah, I think she's
So,
absolutely gorgeous.
I'm like, couldn't she have starred in this movie? Because
Might not have the same pull in
Asian,
the.
just same agent, or as much experience. She's obviously a little younger, and I doubt she even went anywhere. Otherwise we would have said,
Yeah.
her first appearance type of thing. This is like probably her one and only claim to fame. Otherwise, we would probably actually know her name.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, I'd love to see Audrey Hepburn play her character.
Well, here's the thing though: is you need foreign actors. That's for Morocco. If you make them all American, then it doesn't seem right. That's
Yeah.
Well, she was French, so you need a French actress for her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need someone that can do the accent, which is where Ingrid Bergman came in. I think that was an important part.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what accent, as long as it sounds foreign.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, just ask Bo, right?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he's been in everything. And he's
That
always
was for you, Mark.
Yeah, it was good.
There was this Eastern European guy. He's not Russian, but he's been in everything, and he always.
Boris Karloff?
No, this is a recent actor. I can't think of anything he's been in recently.
There's
he's the guy from. You remember the Bruce Willis movie Armageddon?
Well, see, I remember more from Snatch, but I know the actor you're talking about.
American components, Russian components, bam, 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 all made in Taiwan. And he's like, and he was doing an interview, and somebody asked him, he's like, "Do you speak Russian?" He's like, "No, they think Russians sound like this, so I do this." And I'm like, for Americans, that makes sense.
Well, he's Slavic, I believe. He's Serbian, if I remember correctly. But he was also the one in.
He was in Red, not Red. He in Blacklist there for a hot second.
Well, there's so many. I'll tell you another. I'll tell you another actor I liked that's foreign, which was the one that played Duke Leto in the 1984, and I know him from Das Boot. Das Boot was a very good one. I mean, that guy was in a lot of stuff too. A lot of foreign actors there's just a gravitas about them because I think a lot of them have to grow up first doing plays before they go into Hollywood, and it gives them such better acting chops by doing.
A lot of the British actors. The guy who played Gandalf.
Yeah,
or Patrick. Yeah, or him or Patrick Stewart. And there's a bunch of them that were honest to God Shakespearean actors before they got into Hollywood, and their movies. I find them maybe this is a snobbish part of me, but I find them to be better actors than some kid that they pull off the street because he looks good and he can act.
I'll mention a character. I know we're switching off a little bit. Look at Judi Dench. She's one of the few actresses that can hold your eyes on the screen for her acting ability. Like when she was, she did M in the newer, all right, there's a tough woman. Whatever movie she's in, now I've only seen her when she's in her 50s and older. She holds the screen, I think, far better than someone like Meryl Streep, oddly enough. So, and everyone's like, oh, Meryl Streep's that's great. I'm like, give me Judi Dench any day.
I loved her when she played Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria and Mrs. Brown with Billy Connolly. She is a hell of an actress. All right. Did I say who I did not like? Who has to answer this question? Because we've been bouncing around. Wow. Okay. I guess it's me. Who did I not? What character did I not like?
No, actor.
Actor? I
Well,
think they all did a brilliant job. I have actually nothing really bad to say about anybody. I mean, the character Rick annoys me, but such is life.
Yeah.
Who did I not like? I don't even blame the Nazis for the guys who are playing Nazis. I'm abhorred to that subject at all points, but I'm not going to blame an actor for playing a role. Now, if he
Well,
plays
yeah,
a
that'd be
particular
dumb.
what?
Well, you know what I
It'd be
find
dumb
funny?
to blame someone for playing a role.
Yeah, that'd be
Right.
like getting mad at the people who played the not the flying monkeys, but the other guys from the Wizard of Oz.
The
that's
Munchkins?
no, the other guys, the like hobgoblin-y looking guys with the
The
pole
Munchkin?
arm.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
also, is Hunger like waiting to be let back in?
No, Hungar's gone.
oh man. Okay. Well, I
He's
guess you
probably
just ate.
feasting. He's feasting.
Yeah.
He says he got kicked off.
Well, really?
Hit the
Jump
link,
back
what
in.
the hell?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Jump back in, man.
Because I know the mouse is resting over Jax just because if in case I have to put him in timeout. That's a natural state.
Yeah, because that's never happened before.
It's happened twice. Maybe 3 times. Wait, was it 4? I don't remember.
You being you, but I appreciate your.
Well, and if you notice, a lot of the German actors that play whatever are actually Jewish and had to flee from Russia, or flee from Germany. Like Peter Lorre, he had to flee from Germany during the Hitler reign from the Third Reich. So yeah,
it'd be more of an answer. Which scene did you did not like? I could give a more correct for the at
Okay.
that point.
Well,
yeah,
like
which
an
character
actor
did you not like?
What?
We'll do
part
that
did
question
I-
next. Which character did you not like?
I thought, and it's once again, he was a Nazi, so it's kind of easy. It's cheap. It's an easy answer, and I don't like that.
All right, so which character did you not like that was not the Nazi?
yeah. No, I mean, let's just rephrase this. Which character did you not like that added the least to the movie? I mean, if
Oh, the least amount of the movie. Rick.
Well, my answer is going to be different.
I think the whole movie would have done out fine without Rick. It's kind of like the Indiana Jones and the Covenant of the Lost Ark. Everything would have happened if Indiana Jones wasn't there. Would have had the same ending if Indiana Jones. The Nazis would have found the Ark. They would have took it to Ireland and it would have died.
No.
they would have never found the Ark if it hadn't been for Indiana Jones.
You keep telling yourself that, but they eventually would have dug and found it. They weren't going to give up.
They might have found it, but they would have found it surrounded by a bunch of dead Nazis on that island.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that too. Either way,
But then you would have had a bunch of dead Americans and an empty submarine or naval ship around that island.
We'll have to do an Indiana Jones movie. We have to review it.
Yeah, Jackie's got to see those. He'll enjoy at least the first one, as long as we skip Temple of Doom and move and just leave it. I guess was the Last Crusade is okay, but just the first and the third, the rest are
Yeah. No, the Crystal Skull does not exist.
Coming from a guy who studied crystal skulls, I have to agree with you 1,000%.
Sorry about that.
Actually,
fully worth it.
the Nazi that went with that showed up with the broad that was trying to get with Rick, how obnoxious he was. I really did not like that character.
Well,
And-
yeah.
Or the broad. Rick, that's how callous Rick was. He didn't even care that the woman he was stooping, 1 minute, next, now she's with the freaking Nazi. Didn't even give a crap.
Yeah, But okay, next question. I don't know why I don't know why Hunger got kicked out. I didn't kick him out.
Well, Hunger, can you just click the StreamYard link again and come back in? That's the real question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which character did you not like?
I didn't like the Nazis. All of them. They're just one great big character flawed. They're Nazis. I didn't like any of them.
It's cheap.
Well, without them, the movie wouldn't be moving forward. I mean, that was part of the.
I know, but I'll go with the easy answer. They were.
That's
Nazis.
like saying, "Oh well, I didn't like Darth Vader in Star Wars because he was evil."
Actually, he was one of my favorite characters.
Exactly.
Actually, the worst character in Star Wars had to be Boba Fett. I mean, come on. He got knocked out by... knocked out by
fight words, man. He's my absolute favorite character of all 9 movies. And
no, he's just...
What is 9? They made 9? Since when?
I thought it all ended after the first 3, 1983. And
no, I thought it ended after the prequels, because the prequels were obviously the best part.
Oh, God, kid.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
All right, man. I've only been threatening this for a while. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Fucking trilogy.
Oh,
anyway.
It was so bad. No. They could have made the prequel so good, and they just did.
Back to
anyway,
the actual good ref all right. Could you turn, since we're all basically gamers here, except for Jack, but he's a baby gamer on the way. Could you turn Casablanca into a one-shot, maybe a 2-evening RPG game?
Hold up. We didn't ask everyone which their least favorite character was. Shadow, me, and Mark.
No, we did.
I'm sorry.
Very beginning, who our favorite character was? I thought we all said that at the very beginning of the movie, or very beginning of this.
No, least favorite.
Oh, least favorite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, man, who was your least favorite actor?
Well, this is what it comes down to is, as much as I love the idea of it, it was just the way the actor played him by too straight-laced and didn't make him an interesting and inspiring person was Victor Laszlo. He just seemed, I mean, the personality was like he did a lot of stuff, but as a character on the screen, he was not the equal of anyone else on that screen. I hate saying
he was kind of wooden.
It was wooden, yeah. It just felt that way. It didn't feel like this was the kind of man that would really get. The only redeeming part of him is when he decides to do, the French anthem. That was like the only part that I went, oh, okay.
Really? What about the fact that he knew his wife, cheated on him, and he just totally, was I get it, thought I was dead, and still treated Rick like, with respect, as opposed to, the way it would happen today. Yeah, I mean, he was the freaking, the freedom fighter, or the paladin, if you will. He
was no paladin.
He couldn't like think to all their level. He was too busy, trying to get back to the fight.
No. I mean, Shadow, he had all the right attributes. Don't get me wrong, but the actor playing him played him a little too wooden. He didn't seem that inspiring for like his deeds were, but he as an individual he didn't. That's what I'm saying.
I can see that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That the character.
I think part of it might have been the fact that it was a Humphrey Bogart movie, and they didn't want to take someone like Robert Redford or somebody who could really just steal the scenes. Maybe that might have been part of it.
But I mean, look at all the minor character actors: Sidney Greenstreet, Peter Lorre. They all like really showed out in the movie, and then you get Victor Laszlo, like Connell said, was about he was about as wooden as a like any actor could have played Victor Laszlo the way that that actor did. Is my point, and I felt that was
I can see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. As a character, you have to have him. I just wish that they had had a more charismatic actor playing that part. Is my point. Anyway, go ahead.
1942's actors are a whole lot different than in 2000 or even the 90s, 80s, and moving on. I get what you're saying. I agree. I think if they would have found a better actor for that role, but at the same time, it's not bad. The counter argument to this is he's not only running off with that guy's the love, he's also a war hero.
I'm going to bring this up because I think he was old enough for this. Could you imagine if Max von Sydow had been playing Victor Laszlo?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Oh,
I mean,
Christopher Lee.
Well, Christopher Lee was British, but I'm saying, but Max von Sydow was Eastern. He was Norway or whatever, or Swedish.
Yeah,
he could have done it with the accent. That's what I'm saying. He would have come off with a British accent. Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff is another one that could have done it. Could you imagine those actors being in the Victor Laszlo? They would have brought so much more, and it would have had a lot more dynamism for that role. Is what I'm trying to
say. I get where you're going, and I agree. I mean, I don't know if the guy's been anything else after that. But no, I agree. I think the character was well fucking needed. I think, in the stable of actors that they had, I think they could have done better. But I don't know what that stable of actors look like.
Well, I agree with you on that part. But I'm saying, but just imagine if they had put in Max von Sydow or they'd put in Boris Karloff. And Boris Karloff was the right age, basically. They could have done so much for that because he did, Boris Karloff did The Grinch. He did what was it? Dracula. He did The Mummy. I mean, he's been in so many movies for that, but he also he could have done, I think he was Hungarian too. He could have done the Hungarian accent. So,
I agree. I could definitely see where you're going with that. Mark, did you answer this?
No. Least favorite actor, probably just because of you're supposed to hate him, just like the love to hate guy. But I can't say he did acting bad. But the guy playing the captain or the lieutenant of the Nazi party that was there doing the.
God, I agree with that. I would love to see him and Rick have more interaction at the bar, because they played off each other so fucking well.
Are my eyes really brown?
Yeah. But I agree with that. All right.
You missed Shadow. I
was about ready to go to Shadow. Yeah. Shadow.
Okay, maybe.
Sorry. Question again?
Who was your least favorite actor in this film?
No character.
Least favorite character. I'm bad.
Same as actor. The love interest. She was just awful. Just an awful human being, and
I agree with that statement politically.
Yeah.
It's just absolute. I mean, what did she wait? 6 months after her husband died before she started, looking around, or was it 3 months? The line from Princess Bride comes to mind. Did you get married immediately, or did you mourn? She didn't even.
She was what? Well, I thought it was like a year or something like that.
I don't think there was really that much time for that. And she just seemed, just a total, I don't know, just.
It didn't work for you.
Yeah, she was just awful. I mean, and then she was gonna, take the tickets, over his dead body. I mean,
I didn't have too big of an issue with that, because she tried flattery. She was just going through the motions, trying to get
what she brought a freaking gun with her to get the ticket. One way or another, she was getting those tickets, and then she turned out too weak to even follow through. I would have had more respect if she had shot him and taken the tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was just weak. She was weak, relying on one thing to get her way in life, and that was it. And you know, I mean, she was with a freaking, you know, a hero, and that wasn't enough. You know what I mean? She was gonna.
You know what, Shadow? I fully agree with you. And in fact, it was so bad that I completely forgot about her. It was...
Yeah.
That's understandable. Yeah.
The brunette, you know, who you know offered the same thing to get those tickets. At least, you know, she was, you know, honest about it. You know, and had a conscience. You know, she even had to ask Rick, you know, how bad is it that I'm willing to do this to get these tickets? You know, to get out of here. You know what I mean? At least she was honest and, you know, had a conscience, you know, for the little bit that she was in the movie. But yeah, there's my answer pretty much in a nutshell.
All right. See, I thought you would liked her more because she had a gun. My mistake.
No, I don't like women with guns.
I don't like women that are crazy. You know, here's a red flag. If a woman brings out a weapon on you, that should be immediate grounds to say, okay, we're terminating this relationship.
Yeah, and it's coming from a guy who dated a Marine. So yeah. And she also was crazy, and she, you know, she actually had the dagger tattoo, and I didn't, you know, I saw, you know, and I still, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Jack, they're your red flags. If a woman pulls a weapon on you, just try to get out of it. You know, tell her to move, do something. Don't
absolutely.
Jackie just nope.
I mean, I have an interesting view on the world, so I feel like that's already covered. But yes.
You say that now, just trust me. You sometimes emotions overrule, you know, the logical part.
Oh, wait till those hormones kick in. You're gonna see that. You're gonna see some young lady in a sundress, and it's all gonna kick in on at once. You're gonna spend more time in the shower than you are going to be anywhere else. At least for most being young adults.
I might just pull a reverse Jeffrey Epstein maneuver if that ever happens.
Oh God!
Be on the island with a bunch of guys?
No, I thought he was
reverse.
40.
You said reverse. He was on the island with a bunch of girls. You're thinking
no, shooting myself.
Oh, well, that's not reverse. That would be living.
What? Yeah, well,
you got killed.
My biggest worry is that day never comes. Is that his hormones never kick in? So,
I was wondering where you're going with that for a second there, Shadow.
I want him to live a good long life. I just want grandkids, which means I get to live long enough to see grandkids. So, wish me luck, folks.
Yeah, right. These conversations always go in the funnest directions. I swear to God.
The little guy's already eyeballing his inheritance. He's only 14. I told him, you know, if he doesn't make it to 18, he doesn't get anything. So at least I got 3.5 years.
I need to fund my political ventures somehow.
Just do what one of my buddy's grandparents did to his dad. Was he had to be married, he had at least have one kid, and then he inherits everything.
So I have a better one. Is I had a friend who his uncle or something like that was the Secretary of the Treasury at one point. And his grandparents said the parents get nothing and only gave it to the grandkids.
You know what? My grandfather kind of did the same thing. My mom, she got diddly, and then I got it all. So, yeah. But my mom was absolutely certifiable, so I don't blame him. I would have never seen a penny. But Jackie, you know, you can always pretend to be a Democrat and just milk it, and then as soon as you get any sort of power, just switch to the other side and give them both a double-barreled middle finger and go.
Hey, Jack, you can always do a Bloomberg, which is you just pretend to be part of the other party and then just vote however you were going to do it anyway. You know, that's
I was about to say to what Shadow just said, you wouldn't be the first politician to jump boats midway through his political career.
Well, here's the
That's
other
been
part.
something I've thought about several times. Yeah.
I told my friend to do that. I said, just find out. I said, you speak fluent Spanish, dude. Just go this, and if they all vote a certain way, you just run under that party ticket. That's what happens in Texas. They know they can't get elected as Democrats, so they run as Republicans. You'll see them like run as a Democrat one election, and then they run as a Republican the next. All right. Anyway, sorry.
So next question, since everybody's had a chance to ask that one.
We did Mark, and I didn't.
Y'all kill me.
Get a score sheet next time.
Well, and
Yeah.
Mark,
Wait, actually, did
wait,
Mark answer
on
the
that.
question?
yeah, Mike needs to answer this because he said he had to leave at 5:30. So
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, Mark, what's your answer there, Hoss? He's outside too.
Yeah, what we just did least favorite character. What's the next? What do
Least
we
favorite
No,
actor.
least favorite actor?
Yeah, least favorite character.
Or was it
Yes,
Jesus?
Yeah.
Joseph.
I said my least favorite was like the guy just because I love to hate was the
The
guy that
Nazi.
was the Nazi captain or investigator or whatever.
That's what I thought you said, but
Yeah.
I've been wrong before.
No, that was my least favorite. I mean, it was well acted and everything. It was just, but you were supposed to hate him. But if I was to pick a character, yeah, that was the guy I hated.
All right. So I guess that leaves me. So before I preface this, I want to say I am not a Nazi. Proof.
That's what Nazis say.
I have proof right here, all right? So, my least favorite character was Victor Laszlo because, and I said I mentioned the Spanish Civil War comment. He said something along the lines of when he was talking to Rick, like you fought for the Republicans in Spain or something like that. You always had a habit of rooting for the underdog. That made me angry for several reasons. This is why I hate him. He is at the very best he is okay with the mass murder of priests and burning down of churches and people getting killed and robbed simply because they have decent-ish lives, because that is what the Republican side was for. Because the Republicans, they disbanded the army because this army was loyal, so they were just relying entirely off of worker militias, and those worker militias were going around shooting civilians just because they disagreed with them. At least the nationalists had a proper army. They weren't just hiring a bunch of rowdy teenagers to do their dirty work. And not only that, but the Republicans were the official government of Spain. They weren't the underdogs. The nationalists were the rebellion. They were the revolution. The Republicans were the establishment government that just hired revolutionaries to do their dirty work. And he was at the very least sympathetic to that idea.
I'm going to say, and we have to look at how a lot of things are portrayed. You have to remember that Franco was somewhat pro-German at the time.
Yeah, but he wasn't entire Franco. Though
No. Well, a lot of these stories, unfortunately, just didn't get out to the public. I mean, we have to remember that there's a lot of perception in retrospect. I mean, it's the same thing of when they talk about Castro and people, the Che Guevara stuff. Oh, Che Guevara's this. I'm like, you understand who Che Guevara was, and people don't. But I'm like, okay, I'm not disagreeing with part of that, but some of it just, sometimes people think that they're populists, and you're like, nope, it's just like the Bolsheviks. Oh, well, they killed off the Mensheviks who were their allies because they weren't there. Yeah, things are always complicated. That's the problem.
Yeah, but Laszlo probably fought for the Republicans if he was able to, and if, again, assuming that he was still trapped wherever he was when that was happening, which is possible.
Well,
he was still supportive of it.
Laszlo never went to Spain. Not until
you're right. That was Rick. That was Rick who went to Spain.
Yeah. So do you hate Victor or do you hate
I'm not a big fan of Rick either. Okay. I don't like either of them. I hate them both.
All right.
At least we now know how Jack feels about me, I guess.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What are you talking about? He's here, isn't he?
True.
I am here.
I don't know enough about the Spanish War to actually dive into that conversation. I read a few Hemingway books where he talked about it, but as I got older, I found Hemingway to be a big fucking blowhard. So I just
Yeah, for all his bluster, he still ended up, self-deleting.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what though, is I will give this much to him. At least he was in World War One, unlike a lot of the writers, as a volunteer.
I will completely agree
Sorry,
with
guys.
that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, you said you had to. You had to bounce at 5:30. I just want to give you a chance to tell us what you and your fine channel is doing this next coming week. Because trust me, the rest of us will be logging on about this for the next about 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut out here soon. Yeah, hopefully next couple weeks I'll have some stuff out in time travel. I got other stuff in the can. I gotta wrap up and do some editing and add all the stuff on doing this and that. But yeah, that's the plan I got coming up.
Hey, Mark, don't forget, you and yours and mine got to do something sometime soon.
Okay, we'll try to hash that out.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one quick question, Mark, before he goes. Mark, on a scale of from 1 to 5 stars, what would you give this movie?
Geez, it's got to be like 4.5 to 5. It's a classic, and it suits the bill, and I think we talked about. I messaged you a little bit. I think it's like the pivotal and defining factor of what a noir movie is and should be, and it's like the example of what that genre is all about, in my opinion.
Maltese Falcon, buddy. Maltese Falcon.
We'll have to do that one. We'll have to do a murder mystery month.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. No, I'm just thinking of so many movies.
No, I was like, no, you don't want to. Well, too damn bad. It's my channel. We'll do what I want to do.
I can put a big list. Some of them I haven't even seen.
Oh,
I need to go see.
That one, you got me so irritated. I put the wrong kid in timeout. He is a kid.
Holman?
No, I said I put the. Oh well, I see what you're saying.
I was someone's kid at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. All right. Well, thank you, Mark, for joining us. Really quick, I got a quick question for you. Then you can bounce.
Yeah.
Would you, if you wanted to, could you turn this into a 2-night one-shot table RPG?
Yeah, I think so. You would have to keep track time and everything real close. Time is going to be the factor. You gotta smuggle these people out and get them out of an area. And yeah, I think you could. System to use, that I'm not 100% sure. Maybe, I don't know. I've never played it, but maybe something like Gangbusters I think might suit the era, but I'm not sure 100% of the mechanics. Or maybe, I guess, Call of Cthulhu-esque type percentile based mechanics to run the game. But yeah, it's just going to be something, racing against the clock and hiding out and finding the clues and making the contacts and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it would make a good one-shot or two-shot adventure. You just got to beat the clock and make all the right moves before you get caught and killed or whatever like that. But I think it could work.
All right. Well, you and your family have a lovely week. And I will probably be doing something on Valentine's Day because it's alcohol awareness from where I'm sitting. And so if you're not too busy, come hang out with me.
All right. You guys have a good night and rest of the week. And I'll see you guys.
Take care.
Take care, Mark.
We'll see you real soon, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You know what? I was thinking about it. I could easily do this in Traveler. There was a really funny line that I can't remember from Red Dwarf where they're talking about the remake of Casablanca, like the 5th or 6th remake because, it's in the future. And I could easily see this in a sort of Firefly-esque Traveler sort of one shot, two shot, 4-hour game easily, no problem. And I'm never going to do it.
I'm gonna say this much is I think that this could be, we're gonna go from this era, Top Secret, that old game.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, that would be. Yeah, I don't know if didn't think of that. That's like a no-brainer. I mean,
this seems right up there. Though the characters wouldn't be playing. What they would be doing is you'd be playing the Resistance, trying to get Victor Laszlo out, rather than trying to be any of the main characters in this game. So you would be like, well, I need to contact.
I bet if you go through the modules, you'll find huge chunks of this story in the original Top Secret modules, which I have just about all of them. But to be honest, Top Secret 2.0 or whatever it was called was a much better game. But absolutely, Top Secret is a no-brainer for this one.
I mean, you would have to, for the players, they would have to get the couriers so they could get the pack. So you have to get the papers. Then you would have to go over. You would have to try making sure that you could smuggle them out. You'd have to, to me, you'd have to work all in the background, and that's what the players would do. In the meantime, So yeah, I mean, it'd be funny, but it also.
And then you get to play Rick as an NPC.
Yeah, well, Rick would be an NPC. Renault would be an NPC. Peter Lorre's character, which I can't remember his, they would all be in there. It's like, well, how do you do this? And I can see that. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to do this. We have to do, you play the Resistance. So, maybe Carl, someone would play Carl and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, speaking of which.
The guys who got shot at the beginning of the story.
What was it? There was the Star Wars movie, Rogue One, where the whole movie was about getting the information to the Resistance. You run. I'm not saying use Rogue One as what you run, but do that. Make a campaign, and it stops right when the person gets the paper into the cure. That's it's yeah. Then that's the game.
As soon as they escape, you're fine. But the other part was and I've heard this from several people, and I don't know. Because I don't have Disney Plus and I see no reason of getting it, was Andor apparently is an excellent series, just period. Well done writing and everything else, but I haven't seen it.
It's for me, being not a great big Star Wars fan to begin with, I thought was well written. My only complaint about the movie was
not Rogue One, the series that
that's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
My only complaint about it is not my normal complaint when it comes to that series or the show in general. It was a very slow paced show, and that what kind of drew me up to the wall. Other than that, it was really well written, really well acted, and I have no big complaints about it other than hurry up and get to the point.
Well, but sometimes that's the whole point, is you want that slow burn. But yeah, that's not your typical Star Wars. That's not why people watch Star Wars. They want to watch, action scenes and stuff. But
right.
But yeah, but that's what I've heard is if you just take it as an excellent series, that's what would probably work. But I agree with you. Those are the kinds of things. It's Call of Cthulhu or some of the other stuff. I just mentioned Top Secret because this just feels like a top secret game.
No, I'll give it to you. I don't know that system.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you when you consider when Top Secret was written and what they had to go by, the things that would have influenced the writers of Top Secret. This had to have been, right up that street.
Yeah, well, Top Secret was basically a lot of times you're playing kind of like James Bond. That was kind of how it was come out, but I just thought it was great overall. Anyway, sorry about that.
That's fine. No, I mean, I'd try. I don't know what system I'd run because the only systems I know mainly support fantasy. But even in a fantasy setting, I could still make this work.
I mean,
the general structure of trying to get a resistance leader out of whatever occupied area they're in can work for really any time period, it can work for any time period, any setting, any planet, any whatever.
Yeah,
it can work.
And for one shot,
work really well with Ravenloft.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
see
I
that.
can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, but the
it's got so many of the elements in it that would be the one I would go for. Real quick, before we um,
uh-oh.
that can you see that? Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow. You've got those old. Yeah, they're in great
Yeah,
shape.
there you go.
This one, High Stakes, which was for Top Secret 2 or Top Secret SI, is still freaking sealed. High Stakes Gamble, the original box set, the original game with all the modules in it. So yeah, that was one of my big jams back. Oh, and of course, there's Ravenloft.
Yeah. Dark Sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that was one of the things that, that's the. This is one of those that I could see you doing again, whether it's Call of Cthulhu or something like that. But I think it would be kind of fun to do something like that. I think it's, the big trick is just realizing that you're playing the background characters that are setting all the events in motion rather than them being the prime movers.
Sorry,
Right, which would be interesting because, especially now, because 1 in 10 people actually even know this movie now, so you could easily spring it on a group of 30-something-year-olds, and they'd have no idea what they're walking into. They could get all the way to the end and still not know what they had just walked through.
Yeah,
played through.
I mean, I was joking with Max and Victor about doing a one shot because my kids are coming to town for Easter break, and my 2 oldest ones want to do a one shot of some kind, and they're now adults. One of them's definitely an adult, the other one's still a kid, but he's 16, turning 17, so I can have a little bit more adult fun with him than I could when he was a kiddish. So I was going to do a one shot of the Cocaine Bear with them.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Victor's like, no, make it a Cocaine Owlbear. I'm like, that's even better.
Well, you know what though, is we laugh at those, but sometimes, and this is what I was listening to everyone.
I hate you.
For 5th edition is if anyone's looked at Silver Plate, where you get to play like donuts or hot dogs. I'm going, look, once you go into that completely ridiculous realm, everything. This is why I say art is important, because art is evocative onto the setting. Man, you're just like, I know it's stupid, but it sounds like so much fun for being stupid.
Did you ever play Toon? Did you play Toon?
I have never played Toon, but
Steve Jackson. So, but yeah, it was basically your cartoon characters in a cartoon world. And speaking of cartoons, both Peter Lorre and Humphrey Bogart were in, I think, at least 1, if not 2, Bugs Bunny cartoons back in the day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Once again, one surprised me. They were owned by.
I don't think they were played by Humphrey Bogart and Peter Lorre, but
they were characters. They were characters.
Yeah.
Literally, those characters, and maybe even from Casablanca. It's been 40 years since I saw a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but yeah, one of these days, when you get a chance, go look at the Bugs Bunny cartoons that are just about impossible to find now, and yeah, they were there.
So
HBO Plus has all. Going back to the very first Bugs Bunny cartoon.
When Bugs Bunny was actually Daffy Duck.
When he had the real thick Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for Daffy Duck, but no, I remember him doing that. Then the other part is that I noticed, I don't know what it was. Once a lot of these cartoons went into their 50s, they lost a lot of their edge and a lot of their humor. Some of the old stuff, whether it's Mickey Mouse, Popeye, it's like the stuff that was before World War II versus after World War II was so much better. The old Popeye cartoons, when Max Fleischman actually did those, he died in World War II. Man, those are so much better. Where Popeye was not, he didn't need the spinach to be strong. He just needed the spinach to get him to be super strong. If anyone's watched him with when he played Sinbad the Sailor.
Yep, I remember that one.
That I mean, he fought hand to hand just fine. He didn't need anything else. And you used to be able to fight Bluto, and it was only when it was completely overwhelming did he need to do that. And then they had the old what were they called? Those the one
The Goons?
the goons, yeah. Those were
How did I know that?
oh,
I don't know.
Eh.
Quantum. Anyway,
I was gonna say you're old.
you know what? If you say you're old, but we're talking about cartoons well before I was born. It was I used to, when I was in Germany as a kid, I used to watch the old World War II cartoons that they will not play anymore for Bugs Bunny, and they're hilarious when they're making fun of the Germans and the Japanese.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
one with
nowadays
the-
if you play those, you'll be called a racist for insulting Japanese people.
It doesn't.
the
Who cares?
the Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. That's
With
my
the,
point.
with the super carrot. That is my all-time favorite one. Where he ends, it's like, sorry, I can't play with you guys no more. I got real stuff to do, and he puts on the United States uniform, and goes off to the war. Because they're all in their super suits, that are basically just long
Yeah.
johns with the flap in the back, But then that one's classic. If you have not seen it.
Well, and they were so afraid of it, and I said, just say, hey, offensive humor. I mean, if you can have South Park, this is what always gets me. Oh, we're
No,
afraid of-
right?
yeah. I mean, guys, you're playing South Park. You're playing all this other stuff that is much more vulgar than it was back then, and now that it's like, so what? It made fun of everybody. That's what gets me. Is it's only bad. Even some of the older stuff I really enjoyed, which was the Family Guy. When he made fun of everyone, it was fine. But when you suddenly said, well, this group's off limits, you can tell that everything shifts over and it's not as fun anymore.
I mean, there's a clear reason for it, but
nothing's off. But I mean, the where they did the Gremlins with World War II. I mean,
that's another classic.
They're all pretty good about that. Anyway, so that's what goes on there.
I know the concept of rebooting got brought up earlier, and I really don't want this movie to be rebooted. Although I can definitely see some modern day actors I think would be really good for these parts. The guy from Inglourious Bastard, the Jew hunter. He was also God, I can't. His name is
No,
Christopher.
the best guy would be Greg Ham. I think that's his name from Mad Men. That would be who you get to play Bogey's part.
Yeah, that's who you play to get Rick. I'm talking about the Nazi though. The guy who played. He's been in a bunch of things.
Oh, I know who you're referring to. Yeah,
Christopher.
he does an excellent job for that.
And he's German, so and he's already played the Nazis, so it wasn't that far off. Ham from Mad Men. Yeah, I completely agree to play Rick. I would have, part of me wants Jamie Foxx to play Sam.
No.
Only because he actually knows how to play the piano, and he did such a good job playing the piano in Ray.
You know what, though? I wouldn't like to have him. I'll tell you who I'd rather have. Who's an actual musician was Daryl Davis. Is that his name? The one who befriends neo-Nazis and KKK members and then gets them to give all this stuff up.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, and now the problem is, you're looking at an age thing. Who would be great for Sam if we're going to talk about this, because I think he kind of has the face for it. But you don't know what you're getting. Could you imagine Kanye playing Sam?
I would love to see that.
When he's on, he's on, and when he's off, he's like, where? I mean, I don't know if the guy's truly bipolar, but sometimes it seems he is that way.
I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
It would make perfect sense.
But no, the problem is that some people just come off as too abrasive, and Sam was just Sam was so likable. I can't think of anything bad that anyone could ever say about Sam. And I said, you have to find that kind of character, and I don't know who could do. Oh, not for playing, but I was thinking just for being jovial. Do you remember? I just saw him more recently, even though the problem is that they're a lot older now. Remember the actor from Die Hard that played the police officer on the Black?
Yeah. He also did. Yeah,
He played too old now, but yeah.
Yeah, he's too old now. That's the problem. Is trying to find younger actors that could do it, but But yeah, there's so many. Oh, speaking of another character I didn't like was, which I know we mentioned, but she was minor. Was the woman that Sam tossed away, and that was dating all around. Just like who had no what was it? Yvonne was her name, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I didn't care for her character.
Well, no, that was the whole point. Was she blew with the wind. There's some like yeah.
Ooh, fuck, he's too old. God, but he'd be great as the French guy, Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah. Well, Steve Martin, I was thinking better was because I've seen it again. He's too old anyway. Was the guy that was in The Professional?
Leon.
Yeah, that actor. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I like him.
He was actually French. Yeah, no, I get that. I pictured Steve Martin only because of his rendition of the Pink Panther.
Oh yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can see that, but then it makes it more of a comedy rather than being a serious drama.
But there was those. I mean, he's done serious movies, but Casablanca was romantic comedy, but there was a lot of hints to actual comedy in the movie with a lot of the one-liners and this like, I cannot believe there's gambling here. Here's your winning as he's shoving it into his pocket. I mean,
what was it? I pretend to play, and what was that? When he talks about when he plays, Rick pretends to. What did he say? There was some there, and then he lets me win. So I mean, but I think if you look at the movies from all of that era, for the most part, look at The Big Sleep, which is another one I want to do. They had great one-liners. They had things that moved it along, and there wasn't that much action. If you look at it, like in modern day, they tend to fill everything up with action rather than the good drama where you get to see people face off and have the good discussions. Look, I love watching this, but that's sometimes I think what made it better is you didn't have to have all of the fighting and everything else. Oh, speaking of which, if we want to talk one that's kind of a comedy and somewhat serious, Kelly's Heroes.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
That one I liked a lot, is especially what was it? Rod Steiger coming over as the general. See, these men know how to fight. They know how to, they're all taking advantage of it. And it's all because they want the gold. Yeah, it's. But I think that the screenwriting nowadays has gone down so much. You can tell when there's older writers.
I don't think it's the screenwriting has gone down. I think there's more handcuffs on the writers.
I disagree with you on that. Is the newer writers don't know how to write characters, because even stuff that we would find controversial is, like look at what the writers did is they made engaging, likable characters, and then they would stick their social messages in there. But nowadays it's social message first, writing second. And that's the problem. They've inverted everything, so now no one wants to watch it one way or the other. It's
how much of, and I'm not trying. Well, I am. I'm into it. I am. But how much of that is the studio to how much is that to the writer? You have a great script. Then the studio, let's say you have a magnificent script. Then you send it to a studio. We love your script, but we want you to change A, B, and C. We're okay with C. But it's A and B. We want you to shift it to a different direction.
Well, I'm not saying there isn't, but look at the writers. I mean, it like a perfect example was The Witcher. By my understanding, the writers hated the source material.
Oh yeah, they shit the bed.
Okay, that's what I'm referring to. But you still have some things like, not that I necessarily like get political, but look at how everyone talked about House of the Dragons. That one has gotten critical acclaim because they went for story first. That's what matters. Is we're there for. I think that this is what I want to say is because we're seeing like 20 years later these people from the 90s who grew up and went to college like, oh, I'm going to become a writer, and it's now infecting more and more of it. they're at the time they're like, well, we're going to reject Shakespeare. Whether you like Shakespeare or not is irrelevant. The point is that you have the basic fundamentals of the storytelling, the 3-act system, how to do this, write good characters. You should be, those are the people you should be going for.
Yeah, it's because they want to rewrite every basic element of it and recreate it from the ground up, because not only do they think that all that past stuff was bad and it doesn't work, but they also think that it was evil and we need to get rid of it and we need to remake the whole thing, and then they just end up churning out crap products, or in this case stories.
Well, a perfect example is if you look at it, it's not that you can do it. Has anyone watched In the Heat of the Night? One of my favorite movies with Cindy.
The old, yeah.
What a powerful actor for that. And it dealt with social issues. But guess what? It didn't make the characters unsympathetic, for a lot of it.
Yep.
Whether you did, and see, that's the problem that they've made it, it's just bad writing is what's coming down to it. It's not a compelling story. They don't know how to write. The jokes are bad. They don't know. That's what I'm trying to say is you don't have to like Shakespeare, but you have to understand the rules of what brought it about. Pacing, characters, the same things of, whether people, any story that has lasted for, anywhere from 2,000 years or longer, there's a reason for it. You have to go back and study it. Once you understand it, then you can go learn on what elements to change. But you have to learn the rules first before you know where to break them. And I think that's
something they absolutely right off the bat rail against is, giving it even 1 second of time instantly makes you an istophobe or whatever you want to call it. You just by acknowledging that there might be something even remotely good you could learn instantly brands you as, the enemy.
Well, a perfect example right now is they were talking, which I don't understand a lot of this, but, in the current political climate, they're trying to cancel Dostoevsky, who is one of the most famous Russian writers. I'm like, dude, this is a guy from the 1800s. Why in the world are you trying to cancel him for modern day aspects? That's what I'm saying. It's like they're trying to get rid of it. And this is one of the reasons when they talk about, what I want to say for comics, those guys grew up still listening to the Greek mythology, the Norse mythology. They changed up some of it, but then you also get some great storylines by adding more contemporary elements to it. And nowadays you look at it and it's like, your characters are boring. I know we talked about some of the other things, what was it? Jennifer Lawrence and her stupid, there weren't any strong female, action heroes before me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Could you be any dumber? That's the thing.
And what was worse was Sigourney Weaver agreeing with her.
Well, what gets me about it was, what made Sigourney Weaver's characters great in Alien was she was surrounded by strong female. She was surrounded by strong
most of the time.
Well, no, she was surrounded by strong male characters, which allowed her to be strong within that group. You don't make males weak to make the female strong. You have you have good, strong characters all around that have.
Yeah, you have to have comparison. You have to have something.
Oh, going back to Aliens, was it Aliens? Yeah, the second Aliens movie where she goes up to, I guess, the sergeant and the other guy. She's like, I'm starting to feel like the fifth wheel here. You got anything I can do? They're like, what can you do? Well, I have a class something in lifting. And she gets into that caterpillar made mech suit, says, where do you want me to put it? And they laughed. That didn't cheapen her character. It didn't cheapen their character. She showed that she was on equal grounds to a certain degree. And not one of them throughout the series, without the movie, bat an eye at giving her a gun. You also noticed that when it came time to, the guy showed her how to use the new rifle. Yeah. And that was it. It's like, don't let the woman have a gun. No, they made strong male characters and made her strong, but in a different way.
Well, even the interplay between Vasquez and Hudson.
Oh, has anybody mistaken you as a man? No, what about you? That was great. You know?
Well, that's just kind of stuff I've seen in the military between, some, but the other part was Hudson became useful at the end. They didn't make it where he, when he panicked at the beginning, game over, man, game. Okay, that's great. But at the end, how did he go down? You want some? You want some? You want some?
Yeah.
He went berserk.
Now you can't be, any shade of masculine whatsoever, or you're suddenly also toxic.
Well, it's not even what gets me about it is women want masculine men. Men want to watch masculine men. And instead what we're getting is masculine women, which neither men nor women really like that much. It's
the only people who like that are the people who want to
only degenerates want to see this kind of stuff that's being put out right now. But that's intentional. They want to turn the population into degenerates, which they are doing to a moderate degree of success.
Well, let me say this. With having a daughter, I try to find movies that are more empowering to the woman's sex. That doesn't shit on the guys, but there are more, I want her to be proud that she's a woman, not to be scared of it, be ashamed of it, or browbeaten because of it.
You know what though? Women never had that problem before recently. This is what gets me about it.
Yeah, because they kept their asses in the kitchen and made us sandwiches.
No. Everyone says that, but let's be honest. If you look at things, anyone that talks about this, go look at the women that had 6 or 7 kids and had to struggle through. I
wouldn't mess with them. They're too freaking badass.
And do you remember? I know shadows from this generation. Go badmouth your grandmother. How many times would you get beaten? You get beaten by her. You get beaten by your mother, your father, anyone, your grandfather. I mean, no one would. It's like, no, you don't badmouth your grandmother. You just like, shut up.
I was raised by my grandparents. I think I smarted off to my grandma once.
and then they said, well, women weren't respected. They said women weren't respected. I said, oh, really? You smart off to your father.
Really,
your father hits
exactly.
You. But if you smart off to your grandmother, everyone hits you.
I don't know how it's feasibly possible, but when she chucked a frying pan at my grandpa and it bent a corner to chase his ass, that's when he knew grandma meant business. It's a superpower that certain grandmas had back then,
It's the shape of the frying pan, but yeah, still.
Even my friends, I went out last night with my friends. He was having a birthday. And he was talking to his grandmother and said, we had no guns a year ago and now we've got 12. But he said, yeah, we're talking to grandma. And she's like, oh, I haven't been to the range forever. And she's like 80 something, or, she's up there in age. Like, look, grandma, we'll put you in a wheelchair and we'll wheel you out to the range so she can go shoot. What was that? Not that I've seen it, but, the old West women. It's funny because people forget about this. Like, oh, you got a snake. Yeah, okay. She pulls out a shotgun, shoots the snake, and just moves on. Those were tough. Yep. Those were, especially pioneer women, they were tough as nails. Not only did they have a lot of kids, they had to deal with kids that died. They knew how to do everything. And, that's what
deal with a drunken ass husband.
You know what? Everyone says that stuff, but let's look at the reality. A lot of that was minority for a lot of things.
Oftentimes the minority is represented a lot more than it statistically should be because of the fact that it is the minority. Therefore, it's weirder to most people, and I use weirder loosely. There's probably a better word. So it just gets seen more.
Yeah, I mean, but that's one of those things like, oh, it was so terrible. Well, I'm not saying there weren't some terrible things, but man, I was looking at my grandmother who had 5 kids. Some of the things that went through that was, what do you do when your husband dies and you're coming up? People forget just how tough those women were. Look at what some of them did. Is they had 4 or 5 kids and they would go work in like mines and stuff. I mean, it was a brutal life. And now I hear all these people talk about, oh, it was this. I said, no, even if you go look at, some days in modern African stuff and look at how much water those women have to carry and things like that. And then they have kids in tow and they have it. everyone had a hard life, and that's what gets
And
me
not,
about it.
not only that, but think of all the, the modern conveniences we have developed in the last, let's say 100 years that those women didn't have. They didn't have dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, or even, the cleaning products that are so much stronger and more effective. I mean, you were, cleaning the floors was on your hands and knees with a scrub brush, not even a freaking mop. And that was like a daily thing. And a lot of those activities are still done today in other countries around the world without the benefit of any of the modern conveniences we've developed in the last 100 years. They're still doing it the way they did 100, 200 years ago, the hardest way possible. And they can still do all the things that are required. And, it's just.
Yeah, and the
just
people there are
absolute-
much better, which is such a
And
weird
healthier.
thing to think about.
and healthier.
I wonder why.
Well, I mean, mentally healthy. It's interesting for that whole.
Well,
but
yeah,
that's-
absolutely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Is that Remain lady I had, her mother went to jail under Ceausescu.
That guy's a walking piece of shit.
Well, I mean, I've talked to a few different Romanians about things. One of them was
I mean,
he
he was a
escaped right
communist,
before the
yeah, that's
1984 Olympics. It's, you look at how rough it is. Go read these things. And when we're just talking about washing clothes, that was a once a week activity, and that was hard manual labor. And these people
Hell
are
yeah.
complaining because they can't go to brunch every weekend. I'm like, only, get real.
And then they talk about privilege. It's like your kind is the most privileged people in the history of this planet. Shut up.
Yeah, go look at your grandmother that you think was not fully, and go look at her and look at how much respect you get. And women used to give, I think sometimes as our modern society puts too much things into youth, but man, older women at the time were needed to bring, hey, you're pregnant, we need to do this. These are things to do. There's wisdom that was passed down, and nowadays so much of that just seems to be tossed out. Oh, you old people don't know anything. Well, you know what? I remember being that way.
Old people know a whole of a hell lot more than your average person born in this century.
Yeah, that's why when everyone's like, "Oh, do you have a cookbook?" I don't know how to cook. That's beneath me. Okay, so as a man, you can barely function as a normal human being.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I know you guys heard me say this before, but the fact I'm a strong believer that they should be teaching home ec from junior high up.
Part of the reason I didn't believe in teaching in home ec is because I thought everyone learned this. I learned this at home, and home ec's kind of a waste for me because I was cooking for my parents at 7. Now, I only did it maybe once or twice a month.
Both my parents were in wheelchairs my whole life. You know darn well I had to do literally everything, both my mom and dad's things, as soon as I could reach the freaking whatever it was, the stove, the counters, etc., I was doing those things. And nowadays, neither sex, neither a group of people can do half of those things without it being some sort of hardship, some sort of day ruling.
Well, yeah,
affair.
because I mean, yeah, it's kind of self-evident. People nowadays are weak. That's not some sort of accident. It's very intentional. People have all these luxuries and they're complaining about stuff because they have nothing else to do and they have nothing else to go against. So they just are complaining about whatever thing they made up 5 seconds ago, and they're weak.
I'm going to say this much is I maybe commented it. The part of it comes down to, if you don't know how to cook yourself a decent, steak or something as a man, you're going to be made fun of by other men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, look, not that I have to agree with everything, but it's like, what do you mean this is all, if everything is just a microwave meal, like, look, I understand doing it for convenience, but you can't make yourself, what is it, a spaghetti sauce or how to make yourself a good sandwich or something like that. I'm not saying everyone has the skills to do, make their own cheese and things, but come on, it's not that hard to cook from a recipe. That's what gets me. You open up a recipe book and you say, okay, I'm going to follow this. And yet what was it, the beginning of COVID, where people are like, oh, well, how am I going to feed myself? And you know what I find really funny is these same people a year or two later said, you know what? I found that there was a lot of enjoyment in baking and cooking. I said, yeah,
Yeah.
Go fucking
I
feed you.
wonder why.
well, I'm going to bring up a little bit for my ex is, you know what, is when she didn't have to do as much for herself, her mood was a lot more bitter. And even though she got mad when I cut her back on some money, when she started having to work more for herself, being self-reliant in that aspect, or being useful, your mood tends to go up because you believe in yourself more. A perfect example is she never killed her own chickens before. And then now she raises chickens like, well, this one's getting too old. Time to chop off its head and pull the feathers off. And, it's like, well, fantastic. Though she did get mad when my son forgot to plug in the deep freezer, and she lost like 100 pounds plus of some bacon not bacon, but of some pig that she'd slaughtered. And I was like, yeah, I understand that. Hey, why would you never turn off your refrigerator? Find something else. But
Why would you?
But,
what?
But no, I mean,
people seem to find it as such a big, shocking surprise. It's like, oh wow, doing things that are good and natural are good, and they just can't comprehend it until they actually do it because they're forced to in a way, and then they realize, oh yeah, this thing that has been done and that is good and has been considered so for hundreds of years, actually I enjoy doing. Wow. Yeah, it should be obvious, but I guess not.
Even when I was in Afghanistan, which gave me a different perspective, and everyone talks about how bad it was, people forget just how strong those women are over there for some things. If a man wants to get married to a woman, his mother and his sisters go check her out. And if she doesn't pass, the father does not allow him to marry her.
You should bring it over here with my last marriage. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. Well, that assumes that you have a good father that will prevent you from.
He's still out picking those pack of cigarettes up. He hasn't shown back up yet.
But that was part of it. Is it used to be, everyone talks about, oh, well, the women, they have to pass the father test. Yeah, there's a reason for that. The father can look at a guy and go, he's trash.
Yep.
And that's there's some aspect to that, and and it also, but yeah, I think that's one of those things that really comes into it is go look at Macbeth, go read some of this stuff. I still have like 700 pages effectively to read of the Iliad. Stocking of style, go read how Achilles puts down Agamemnon. Holy crap, that is powerful. Once you really delve into it, like Achilles just eviscerated Agamemnon, talking basically calling him a soft woman that can't even do his own dirty work. And Agamemnon, what was the story with him? He had to kill his own daughter to get the ship to sail over. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're reaching that time, so I want to start wrapping it up. Shadow.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
We've got company right now, family visiting. So I don't know if we're going to get to do a painting video tonight.
No, I doubt it. There. I doubt it. I wonder why.
Yeah. The little guy's been very, very busy, distracted, whatever you want to, but rest assured,
I prefer the term lazy because it's more honest.
Okay.
Your dad was trying to give you a pass.
Yeah, well, I like honesty, all right? And he's a professional liar at this point.
I literally don't know what's going on in your head, between homework, school, and,
I know.
Teenage stuff. But I am going to be in Rick from 28mm RPG's Traveler game tonight. It'll be live, and we'll be playing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, where I'll be playing Warren Ajax. If you guys know where the name comes from, make sure you put it in Rick chat tonight because most of you should know where that name comes from. And you know,
What
there is
time, if you're gonna say you're playing tonight, what time are you looking at?
Oh yeah, I was getting to that. It's going to be 8:30 avocado time. So basically, a little more than 4 hours from now, and I'll be playing with the new group because before it was just Rick and myself doing a one-on-one. That's where the Shadow of the Stars thing came from because it was just me and him, and then he's carried it on over, waiting for the appropriate time for my character to come into his regular group. And I have no idea what's going to happen. I know where my game left off, and I hope it's going to sort of tie the two games together. And if it works out, it'll be a regular thing because Rick is a phenomenal GM. And, you know, not going to lie, I'm a little nervous just because it's a high bar when playing in Rick's game. It's, you know, he's a great DM, and you know, he asked me back, so apparently I must have done something right. And then the rest of the week, Tuesday, I don't know if we have anything scheduled yet, but you know, we'll be, you know, doing the usual Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday thing if everything gets back to normal. I don't think I'm missing anything other than obviously, you know, Gatekeepers and Table Breaker with Connolly on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, that's it.
All right.
How about you, Owen? Any thoughts to making your own channel yet?
No, I mean, like I said, as far as to make my own channel, it would be probably a farming channel. I mean, that sounds so funny, but you know,
there's this guy on TikTok, and he's I watch him, and he's one of those home off the grid type people.
Yeah.
And I watch him, and he's interesting as hell. I mean, that's granted, it's a niche. I understand that is a niche group that gets into that, but I think it's cool. I think it's really
not
cool.
even. If Owen did a farming channel, he would pass up Max in subscribers within about 6 months tops. Not even joking. Those sort of self-help how-to channels do phenomenally well. Just because I've been watching a lot of them for chickens and other things, and their numbers are just like, you know, amazing. So
because people want to learn something. Well,
yeah,
that's, you know it. Well, I need to get something set up, or you know, one of these days. But we'll see. It's but you know, some of it is I'm still trying to learn myself, and it's bad to go in there unless you're going to film it. That's the part of the problem is you have to film, you have to do all the editing. I'm like, that's a lot of work for something that I would actually be doing it more for myself than anybody else. So there's that. But yeah, you know, it would be just so I could record it, so I could remember what's going on. A little side note though is I did buy crop insurance, and so I'm starting to learn to be a sharecropper. So
hey, that's cool. All right, what am I got going on this week? Well, as Shadow said, we have Gatekeepers and Table Breakers, which Table Breakers we will be talking about Baron G. Rocks running the Exalted game, which I thought was fun. Then Saturday, I will be hanging out with Bruce. Sunday, we'll be doing this all over again. And this week's assignment for all those who are watching with us, watching movies with us, it is, what is it, Shadow? Because it is your pick.
it is John Carter of Mars, or John Carter, or whatever, just John Carter.
Didn't we already review this one?
Well, you and I did, but we didn't go into the you know, ours was like a 10-minute, you know, review during last April. But this time we're going to go into it, you know, a little more so, and you know, 2 hours worth, you know. So yeah.
Okay, can I ask a question here? So whose turn is it? We've got Shadows. Who's after Shadow?
It was supposed to be. It's either Jack or Mark. Mark was between two different movies.
No, because Jack was the last one with Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah, you're right. So it's and you did this one, Omanal. So it is shadows, then it would be marks. And
Okay, the reason I was asking is I think it'd be good to have like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So if at some point we have to, watch stuff earlier, things like that, instead of saying, "Oh, well, we have 1 week," if you're busy or something.
We'll have to reach out to Mark and see.
Yeah, what he recommends or what wants to pick.
Yeah.
Because we still got a little bit of time left in February to do the romance stuff.
Well, I mean, how much better could we get right now? It's February 12th, and we're about as close to Valentine's Day as we can get for Casablanca.
Right. We got 2 more Sundays, and I mean, if we need to bleed over until next month, we can. I mean,
we did it with Christmas. Yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody gets a choice, a chance to bring what they want. Then I think next month, with it being March, are you guys want to do westerns in April or in March?
I think that probably westerns would be better in March, because I think in April we should be doing some of the old classics like Ben-Hur and the 10 Commandments.
Well, the only problem with that is April, since it's my birthday in April, we're doing an entire Western month.
Oh, okay.
So it might be,
I mean, we could throw the Western off until later on. I was just trying to be.
Well, we can do it in April, or it doesn't matter. I was just
because I do want to do the movies you recommended, Ben-Hur and the 10 Commandments, because Jackie will love them. But there's no reason why we can't. Maybe we can do those 2 movies the last 2 weeks in March to get ready for it.
Right, because I'm not opposed to it, but the rest of you guys are more family oriented than I am, and no one's going to want to watch. No one's going to watch us, and I don't think very many of you guys are going to want to show up on Easter. I can do it just because I'm not.
I honestly don't know what our plans are that far ahead, because even if Jackie does go to church on Sunday, that day in particular, he will be back in time.
I'm trying to think
family dinner. I don't know.
If anything happens in April, I'm going to be seeing my parents, so I probably won't be doing this during that time.
We'll talk about that off.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that back screen. But yeah, no, we'll make it work. Either way, everybody who's been hanging out with us this long.
Hold up. I have some, depending on how you look at it, good news.
Okay.
I have recently, and I am eternally grateful, my cousin has gifted me a microphone.
Oh, cool.
At least one of you knows what that means. I am going to finally be starting my own channel. I mean, I technically already did, but I'm going to be doing stuff on it again. I'm going to be making a new one. Of them is not important to any of this, but I am going to finally begin working on the first video I make on my political channel.
Oh God!
No.
Good luck. Here's the thing: if you're going to be doing that, Jack, and I'm not trying to be mean, you might want to do more something for Rumble than for YouTube.
Oh, I'll do both.
Okay, I just saying, because you know how YouTube is. So Rumble has gone more for the political dissidents, and that, though, to be honest, I like some of the stuff that goes on over there for the people I listen to, because they don't.
And we're on Rumble now too. The Shadow and Sun Show is now on Rumble. Has been for about 2 weeks, and still waiting for the older videos to start showing up. But the more recent stuff is there, which is weird because we have like 6 videos on Rumble right now, and they each have like 1 like, which I'm guessing is just standard. When you put something on, they just give you a free like or something. But we've got 1 view, but 10 likes. So I don't know how the math works. Yeah.
That's a weird equation right there.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where the other 4 came from or how that worked. But yeah, there you go. So if we ever disappear because the little guy's shenanigans or my big fat mouth, you know where to find us on Rumble.
Yeah, they won't care about you.
You know what?
I swear, beatings.
I'm going to say this much, Shadow. You were talking about him, waiting for this. My son has said the same thing to me. I can't wait till you're dead. I said, "Oh, you want me dead so soon?" He's like, "Well, in 30 years." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I'll take 30 years."
Yeah, no shit. I would take 15 at this point. With the way I roller coastered, my body, as David Lee Roth would say. 15 years would be. I'd be 70. Who wants to be 70 anyways, right? Not a whole. There's a whole lot of things you can't do at 70, and I like doing those things. So.
Actually, you know what? I've seen.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, well, off channel, but I saw a guy actually climb a cliff really well, better than guys that were half his age, and I'm just going, what the hell? He's like, just walk every day. That was his big thing. So.
Sure. Sure.
Well, everybody that's still in chat and all those people who watch it later, thank you for joining us for talking about Casablanca and the madhouse that this is. Everybody have a safe weekend. I hope your team loses, and if you're watching the Super Bowl, and if I don't talk to you before Valentine's Day, go have a beer.
Single Awareness Day.
No shit.